Namaste. Oh, goodness. I am so happy to be with you today and to be talking about running a business and how challenging that can be and why having a good attitude can help you. So, whether this is your first time here or you are a regular subscriber, whichever, welcome. I am Gloria Grace, the light messenger, a spiritual alignment coach, and I help women entrepreneurs break the self sabotage cycle so that you can create a life and business with more influence, impact, and income. And as I said, this today we're going to be talking about attitude, about attitude and optimism and challenges. And it's appropriate, I feel, because as I'm recording it today, this is the month of May, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And mental health is a big deal with me because I've got a family history of folks that struggled with mental health. And they weren't even entrepreneurs, but I know that my mom dealt with depression, especially when I was younger. My dad was alcoholic. I know my brother had some bouts with mental illness, I believe. I've never really diagnosed, but it was something that I know my mom talked about. And believe that I have not necessarily had what you would call clinical depression, but I've had my moments where I've been dealing with a bit of, I'm trying to think of the right word, because I wouldn't call it depression necessarily. I think just life. I think just life sometimes gets us down. And because, especially for entrepreneurs. And I was doing some research on this, and I found that there was a recent study of nearly 250 entrepreneurs by the University of San Francisco. And they found that 72% of them reported mental health problems, with nearly a third saying that they've been dealing with depression. So it's a big deal. And I think because everybody, I think, has at one time or another deals with things like this. Something comes up in your life, whether it's losing a person, whether it's the stress of a relationship, at some point in your life. And I think there are actually, in general, I don't know, I think it is like a huge statistic. And I believe I had somebody on the program a long time ago, probably even last year, who talked about this, that I think maybe 1 in 2 Americans or something has dealt with some kind of mental health issue. So not necessarily mental illness specifically, but some type of mental health issue. So it's important. And if you are someone, and I'm just going to say this right now before we even get into what else I wanted to talk about today, if you find that you are dealing with depression and it's keeping you from doing the things that you want to do every day, go see a doctor. Call someone, especially go to your doctor first, your regular MD, and rule out any type of medical reason that could be causing this, because it's not necessarily something in your brain. There could be some other underlying physical cause for it. So rule that out first, and then if you need to see someone else, like a counselor or a therapist, what have you. But I'm going to come back to that again. But I just want you to know that there are resources out there. There are organizations out there. The National Association of Mental Illness, NAMI, is another one. And I'll maybe put the link to that in the show notes today. So I just want you to be aware that whatever you're feeling, know that you don't have to deal with it on your own. And let's go back to what I want to talk about today, which is about staying optimistic because there is uh, running a business is challenging. And there are things that come up, especially if maybe this is the first time you've ever started your own business and it's all new territory. So things are going to come up. So, why would it be important to be optimistic? Well, when you're optimistic, it's going to help you to deal with failures because that's the other thing that happens with running a business is that things aren't going to always go the way you want and things are you're going to experience failure at some point, whether it's the launch of a new product or service, or you experience rejection when you're making a sales call. It's part of running a business. What is it? Thomas Edison famously uh, tried 1,000 times or even more times, I think, to be able to get the light bulb to work, and finally he was able to do it. So he didn't let that stop him. And it's most likely because he was a determined individual, but I have to believe that there was probably some bit of optimism because if you think about the flip side, if you're pessimistic and then you get hit with a failure, you're much more likely to give up and not do it again or not try a different road. But when you're optimistic and something happens that where you fail, you're like, okay, what can I learn from this? And let me try something else. Let me go a different road. So you're able to do that, uh, to be able to start again. It makes it a lot more easy for you to be able to do that. And also, when you're optimistic, your vibration is higher, and I believe you're even much more connected to your higher self, which then allows you to be open to new ideas, new experiences, new possibilities, because you are tuned in to spirit, source, whatever you want to call it. But being optimistic allows you to do that. It's also, let's face it, optimists are generally happier people and less stressed than pessimistic people. So think about that. If you know anyone in your life, because I'm going to assume that you're not that person, most likely if you're listening to this podcast, you you are more optimistic than other people. And then again, that also means that you may have people in your life who are not so optimistic. And so you can watch them and see how they handle things and know that if you can see the glass as half full rather than half empty, it's going to help you out so much more in life. Now, along with being optimistic, the other thing that is so handy to have when you are an entrepreneur is a good sense of humor. It is so handy, especially when you have those inevitable failures, because if you can laugh at yourself and laugh when those things happen, it sure as heck beats crying over it. You know that wonderful expression. I'm sure your mother may have used it on you when you were a child. Don't cry over spilt milk. Well, yes, it's true. It's not helpful. Sometimes you want to, and sometimes you can cry, and it's okay to cry, but then there comes a point where you're gonna be like, "Okay, I need to take a breath now, dry the tears, and let's go on. Let's try anew, do something else." So, having a good sense of humor is definitely helpful for mistakes. It also helps, again, with allowing you to be more creative. If you have employees, having a good sense of humor can help you to diffuse conflict with employees. And it's also good with helping with customer relations as well. And not to mention, it's a great stress buster. Being able to laugh, oh my gosh, that's like whenever you do feel stressed out, go to YouTube and find something funny to watch because there's so much negativity in our world in general anyway. So whatever it is that floats your boat, if you like a particular comic or you want to just, there's so many wonderful, funny animal videos that you could go watch. It's good for the soul. Hey, I've been doing lately is starting my morning off watching Whose Line Is It Anyway? I love improv comedy and I just watch old episodes and I know I've seen them, before, but there's just something really great about watching people make stuff up. And they have so much joy in coming up with these absurd situations that it just makes me laugh out loud. And laughing out loud not only is good for reducing stress, it's also good for you physically too. I know that there have been studies that have shown that it really, I think it gets the endorphins going in your body, and it's just good for your overall health. And then that's really good for when you are trying to run a business, to be able to have that sense of humor, to be able to find something funny in what's going on during your day. So how do you stay positive though when those inevitable challenges come your way? The As I mentioned before, don't cry over spilled milk. Well, yeah, don't think that the world is coming to an end just because something didn't turn out the way you wanted. I always love this phrase, this too shall pass, because it really will. It will. It's not the end of the world, no matter how bad. And there's all these cliches, you've it's always darkest before the dawn. And I know there's other ones too. They become cliches because there's a grain of truth to them. And again, it's about recognizing that, okay, yeah, this didn't work out the way I planned. And you can acknowledge that. And I'm not saying to just ignore it. If you feel sad about it, if you feel angry about it, you're entitled to your feelings. Absolutely. So do what you need to do. Go punch a pillow. Do it something in the privacy of your own home, where no other person is around, where you can maybe journal all of your feelings of frustration. Because the worst thing that you can happen, or the worst thing that you could happen, no, the worst thing that can happen is for you to explode at someone else, especially if it's not their fault. When you are all aggravated and frustrated, it is so much better to stop, pause, breathe, take 3 deep breaths and let them out. That gives your brain time to process what's going on from the, frontal part of your brain, the more or wonderful human side that is more critical thinking and that can give you a chance to even tap into your higher self and be able to allow yourself to calm down, to come up with a better response, let's say in the heat of a moment, than if you just react in that heat of the moment instead. You are likely to say or do something that you will regret later on. So just stop and pause. And here's another thing that I've also learned, and I learned this originally, I think one of the times from reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles. So he talks about that sometimes what happens is if there's something that we wanted to turn out a certain way and it doesn't happen, it might be that something better is going to come your way. And that's why whatever you were counting on failed because there is a higher power, something out there that knows that there was something better for you coming along. And even though you don't see it right now, I believe that that's what you can do is that you can trust and say, okay, I don't know why this failed. I have to just move on from here, and I'm going to trust that something better is going to come along. And when you are optimistic that way, guess what? It's the law of attraction in action, because inevitably something better will come along. And that is why it failed famously. So again, remember, this too shall pass, and okay it's okay to be upset. And when you can be a more optimistic person, be a more positive person, it will help you to be able to get over that a lot faster and be able to then think about other ways for things to turn out and come up with new ideas. And it'll be so much better. And oh joy, I love that my yard people are here today. They were supposed to be here yesterday. So I'm hoping that the microphone won't pick up too much of their these yard sounds today, but I'm going to carry on and carry on with that. So I hope you can appreciate the power of being optimistic and having a good sense of humor in running your business. And also know you can still reach out for support, because you don't have to figure things out on your own. So you don't have to struggle. You can absolutely, there are people out there, there are coaches, there are therapists, there are all sorts of people out there who can help you. I'm one of them. If you ever need a question answered, if you are stuck on something, reach out to me. I would be happy to help, and let's have a conversation and see if there's any way I can support you. Go to engagewithgloria.com. That's engagewithgloria.com, and schedule a call. It takes you right to my calendar, and I would be happy to check with you and see if I can support you in some way. Now, for those of you who are regular subscribers to the podcast, you know that I love the Daily Word from Unity. I love the inspiration that the Daily Word has. And so when I do these solo episodes, I always like to find a daily word that is in alignment with the message for today. And so I searched the term laughter and found a wonderful reading. And I forgot to write down what date it was from. Oh dear. I think this was from like 2007 or something like that. But anyway, the affirmation is, I accept and share the gift of laughter and joyful living. And so the reading says, laughter is an expression of joy that relieves me of any feelings of being burdened by decision or confusion. The ability to laugh is a gift from God that reminds me to lighten my load and to look at life from a much higher positive viewpoint. The joy of laughter resonates within my soul, sending forth vibrations that stimulate every cell of my being with gladness. These vibrations release tension throughout my body. Relaxed, I expect good and am open to all kinds of possibilities. Laughter is the universal language of joyful living. Sharing laughter with others, I invite them to join with me in receiving the benefits that good humor and gladness bring. Laughing together, we contribute to our good as individuals and as a collective whole. And then the scripture reading is from Genesis 21, verse 6. Now Sarah said, God has brought laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh with me. Yeah, I like that. I think it's so important. Laughter is a great gift. It's such a wonderful gift that we have, that we are able to partake in, to use, to enjoy. So whenever you can find something to laugh at, it's just it's a wonderful thing. Maybe it's, like I said, looking at videos. Maybe you find I in the past love reading books that are funny. One of my favorite authors is from South Florida, and because I used to live in Miami, and oh shoot, now I'm forgetting his name. Anyway, he would write these hysterical uh, murder mystery sort of novels, but with just a comedic bent. And Carl Hyacin, that's the name of the author. He's also written children's books too, for that matter. But they're just so funny because he knows South Florida has some crazy stuff that happens, and he would just take some of the stranger things and of course embellish them and make them even funnier. So check it out. Check them out go to your local library and find some books by Carl Hyacin. They're hysterical. All right. Before we close out today's episode, I also want to share with you another gift that I believe is something, well, not only believe, but know that is something that will help you to be able to relax, to ease your stress. If you're an entrepreneur and you're going through a stressful day, I love sharing the gift of light language. And light language is a sound healing modality. It's a language that I channel from higher realms, and it's something that your brain doesn't necessarily understand, doesn't necessarily be able to translate, but it's something that your heart understands, your soul understands. And I encourage you to be somewhere where you can just sit and close your eyes and set the intention that whatever message comes through today will be for your soul's highest good, and to perhaps help you to be able to stay optimistic in your day-to-day activities and in running your business and dealing with family, relationships, all of that good stuff. So I encourage you right now, if you can, take a moment and just quiet yourself, take a breath, close your eyes, and be open to receive what comes through for you today. Hasoko shokonyana kuyataka santo shokoyama. Hayano koya pata shikayano kuyata. Hokoyata shikoto kunyama no kiyate shikoto kumana. Eyano kuria panta kika shakoria mokariata. E sako shakoria no kuria pano kikariata. Otakushi otakuria manakoria pata sikatakeata. O kiku kuya kuhu shanyane aki hosakonyane ka anya no kushiyatihi eka ahe kosushane oyoko ikohu kasiko yano kuhe ayanta koshi bakonia no ku hakiria to kushakana heya to koshi to toku wabana He kariano ko pari kari to shikoto ko yamaki. Aki kuya kuika sian. Aki ko shako di kariano ko bada. He kashakariana ko wabada. He anoko hakan hanakiga shakate. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that helped to release whatever stress you may have been holding on to today. And you can always come back and listen to these. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about a podcast, isn't it? Or a video is that you can rewatch this, you can re-listen to it. And whenever you are feeling stressed, I encourage you to come back and listen to this again. And I also wanted to mention that if you are a wonderful woman out there listening and you would like some support, not only can you reach out to me, but I also have a Facebook group. It's called the Soulful Women's Network. And I would love for you to join. It's a wonderful community of women who inspire and educate one another. And we meet online or in person once a month, and I also share light language in the group twice a month as well. So you can go to Facebook and search for Soulful Women's Network, or you can also go to bit.ly/soul network, and it's in the show notes too, so you'll be able to see that. All right, I think that's going to do it for today. So I hope you're going to go out today and keep a good sense of humor, folks. Life is short. We don't know how long we have it, so let's make the most of it. Let's make today a good day. There's a wonderful song I hear periodically that says, today would be a very good day to have a good day. So make today a good day and go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.